Hello guys and welcome back to a new podcast. So today we have the amazing Tanya from Posedbyhoney joining us to discuss all things first timers. So do you want to give us a little bit of an introduction?
Hi guys. So firstly, I will talk a little bit about Posedbyhoney. So I have been teaching posing for around 8 years, so a little while now, starting around 2015. I also have a team of ambassadors as well, as you know, including yourself. And I have also opened it up for sponsored athletes each year. And the main reason for actually doing that was actually just to give a little bit back, because as you know, competing is very, very expensive, and I'm sure we'll get onto that in a little bit. So it's just to be able to help as many people as I possibly can. And I currently do that full time. I do a little bit of private PT, and I've just opened slots up to actually prep clients to the stage this year.
Oh, that's so exciting for you. I can't wait to see that. And also just to mention, I think you're actually the only posing coach that offers sponsorships. So, that's huge. That's amazing for everyone.
Yeah, from what I know, definitely.
Yeah. So, like you don't see many people doing that. So that is amazing. So should we get started then?
Yes.
The first thing we're gonna start discussing was managing show expectations. So what are your thoughts on how people view competing, and especially for a first timer, how do they get into competing and how do they normally find their first prep? So what is your experience with that?
So my experience is, for a lot of first timers, I feel as though they are not doing enough research. Okay. So obviously I speak to many clients throughout the years, and I do often ask them, what federation would you like to go for? Why do you want to go for this federation? Do you know what's required? And a lot of the time, the knowledge that they have is very limited. And I'm not saying it's entirely their fault. I do think social media is a big play on this. I feel like social media can make competing look very glamorous. There is glamorous parts, but it's not all just glam. And it can also make it look very easy, and also a good way to transform your physique. So I would just firstly say, as the first time, you've got to do your own independent research, not only just getting knowledge from your coach and the people around you. You need to physically go out there, do some research online, maybe look at some YouTube videos, speak to actual people that are, currently competing. So that would always be my first advice: research.
Exactly. And like you said, I feel like social media gives this image of you step on stage for the first time, you get your pro card the first time, and you're, and don't get me wrong, there's some people who do, and, to them, but most people will have to compete, at least a few years before they get a pro card and they get to that level. So I 100% agree with you on that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's not enough information out there at the minute that's specific to helping you get into a show. Like you say, we only see the great bits, and there's a lot of coaches out there wanting to build up their reputation, getting people on stage, etc. But just a more generic information, like even down to like when you're a female, you have to pick heels, etc. Which heels are right for federations. You think, oh, I'll buy this pair of heels, you just invested £80 on them, and then they're not right for the federation or whatever. Just a little bit more guidance to make it seem a little bit more simplistic for people to get on stage, rather than just showing all the glamour and glitz behind it. 100%. Would be a little bit more useful. But
so I do think that definitely people just kind of see one thing. Everyone looks at Olympia and everything like that as the standard, but as a first timer, it's not what you're going to experience.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think what links nicely into that is kind of understanding what goes into prep, so outside of the gym. So we're looking at things like, how much time you actually spend doing your steps, or, last night, for example, I got home back from the gym at 8:30 in the evening. And I said to Ash, I'm 6,000 steps down. We gotta go out walking.
Did you hear that? Not I.
We're in this together.
Yeah, I love that.
I think people don't actually also see how much time goes into it. It's not just you prep for a bit and you step on stage and there's me happy as Larry, because I was not happy as Larry last night walking at 9 p.m. So what's your experience with that? How do you see people managing what goes into prep?
I do feel for a lot of first timers, it's very hard and they are very surprised how much time they actually need to dedicate to prepping for a competition. I feel like it depends on a person's lifestyle for sure. As harsh as this sounds, but if I do hear that someone is finding it very easy, then I often believe they're not doing everything that they need to.
Yeah.
And I've had these conversations with people in the past, and I do try to let them know that this is very consuming. This is going to consume your life for the next few months, that you are in prep. You need to manage your time. You need to make sure you are scheduling your cardio, your posing, you're actually, training sessions are scheduled in, your food prep time, and everything needs to be scheduled down to a T, because if it isn't, it does become very overwhelming. And I do think when you are preparing for a show, you need to give 100% always, just not to leave any doubt in your mind whether or not if you've done enough. So time management is absolute key.
Yeah. How did you find it as a first time, so the first time you ever stepped on stage? Can you remember? That was a long time ago.
Okay, so that was like 2014. I had no idea, I'll be honest with you. I felt like I kind of just, I don't want to say blagged, but kind of just was doing anything because I didn't understand competing back then. And the person that was guiding and helping me, they were also new to this. So we kind of just like went along with what we thought we should be doing, and then slowly learn, okay, no, it cannot be done like this. We need to do, I don't know, there needs to be a little bit more structure. So my first time was a little bit different. I didn't have much support, especially in regards to posing and, finding bikinis and makeup. I literally had nothing. So I kind of did it blindly. And that's the honest truth. I feel like I started to become a bit more structured maybe in 2016 when I actually started to do, and that's when I started to do a lot better on stage, when I actually dedicated my all to this. Everything was structured around me competing, social events, going out with friends, family, that all had to change. And then yeah, as you probably know, and that's when I actually started to see results. But yeah, it took me a while to get there, and that's the honest truth.
But that also goes to show that, everyone starts somewhere, and especially as the first time, often we feel like we need to know it all. But, myself last year, I felt like I had good experience because obviously Ashley's competed before me. So I, got to see him prepping and all of that. Yeah. But you do feel like you need to know it all. And in reality, you kind of learn as you go. Exactly as you said, you just pick things up. And let's be honest, my posing was shocking.
But it's not now, and that's the thing.
But it was shocking.
We learned. So was mine. One day I will share there's a YouTube video.
You definitely should.
It's going around, that's floating around.
Send me some clips of that and I'll add it to this.
It's terrible. It's so bad. It's really, 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 really bad. I had no idea what I was doing on stage, and you can clearly see that. The only thing that I think that was okay was maybe my walk, but everything else was just terrible. So yes, everybody does start somewhere.
Exactly, which is what do you think about first
as in
like your first prep ever?
I was lucky that my first show was cancelled 12 days out. So I basically had a free run through. I didn't actually step on stage.
That's a good way to go.
But again, that taught me a lot, and I'm always thankful that I did, because I improved so much between that phase and then getting back on stage, like finally getting onto it. But in that time, again, like I definitely agree, just enjoy the process as much as you can. If you get things wrong, take it as a learning curve, enjoy it. I'm not saying get things wrong, but like you are literally not going to know everything, and you are going to get a few things muddled up. And just like you said, like I definitely think if you find it easy, something's not right. So don't expect this to be a walk in the park. And also just with the time management expectations, I do remember like the last show we done last year, we got back from Thailand, so we done 5 days after show, then we went to Thailand for 2 weeks, and then we got back. And obviously before that, you were on an hour or not?
Yeah,
hour cardio. I was on an hour cardio. We were setting 30 minutes a day aside to pose, and we fit it in. We were getting up at 4:30 in the morning. And we were finishing at like 10 in the evening for PT sessions, whatever it may be. But we got it in, and I remember the day we got back, or 3 days after we got back, and we were back in the gym routine. I literally said to her on the triple dinner, I was like, how on earth did we fit that into our day?
Yeah.
But when you've got a goal like that, stepping on stage, you do. So you might think you haven't got time for things, but when the goal's strong enough, you'll make that time. Like, you'll make it work.
You'll make it happen, kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah,
100%
I do agree with
Yeah.
that. Yeah. And I think, you know, this is a good example of when people say, oh, I don't have time to do my steps, or I don't have time to, if you truly want it, you will make it happen.
You will find time.
Yeah, you will find the time. And now, because we were talking about posing earlier, let's just have a quick chat about neglecting posing. So as first timers, we've all been there probably.
Yes.
Where we thought, oh, it's fine, I got time, you know, I'm 20 weeks out, I don't need to practice. But how often do you see that, and what do you think about it?
I do see it very often with first timers. I feel like it's the understanding again. I feel when you look at someone competing as a first timer, you often see them posing, and it does kind of look like they're having the best time, because that's the idea behind posing. And often enough, they don't realize how hard it can be for a lot of people starting out. So I feel like that's what it is. I've had people come to me 6 weeks out of their first show, and they struggle a lot. And of course, I can get someone where they need to be within 6 weeks, or however many weeks it is, but there is a massive difference between starting as a beginner 20 weeks out as to opposed to starting 6 weeks out. We've got to cram in so much. And what you've got to remember is that we're all nervous on stage. Every single person is nervous on stage. It's just part of it. If you allow yourself that time, that period of time, to really knuckle down with your posing, make it second nature, you being nervous on stage will not affect your posing. And that's the idea of what we want to achieve when we're learning posing so far out. So yes, posing is extremely important, and I'm not just saying that as a posing coach, but this is something I've learned myself. Like, my posing was painful because I didn't have the time to actually practice my posing, and I didn't have a posing coach to guide me. So I've been there, and it does affect your scoring.
100%. That, I mean, that was one of my feedbacks, but I think most people had that as a feedback, but it was improved posing. And a little bit more muscle, which hopefully we've done this year. Hopefully. 100% makes a huge difference. And just like you said, having that confidence when you step on stage, posing, you want it to be the last thing on your mind, because you know, you're, like you said, you're already nervous. You got so many people basically watching you naked.
Exactly.
So if you step on stage thinking, oh my god, where do I need to step, where's my arm going, this and that, then that's only gonna make you even more nervous than you already are. But if it's second nature, and you know exactly what you're gonna, you know, where you're gonna step, how you're gonna pose, and this and that, a lot easier. I know you quite enjoy posing.
Yeah, I love posing. I thought I was the nuts when I stepped on stage the first time. And then the video went on YouTube, and it's my most watched video, and there's just hate comments. Not that much.
Everyone's just commenting on, why does he point his fingers? Why does he do this?
Really?
But I enjoyed it. Again, my mistake was that I got, a mistake. So I got a posing coach from very early on, like 16 weeks out, 17 weeks out. Obviously, I did step on stage that time as well, so I had like another off season to then practice. What I did neglect was, in my mind, I didn't look good when I posed at 17 weeks out. I'm still chubby, you know, can't see my abs. So I neglected it when I wasn't with a coach, until I kept saying to myself, I'll do it when I'm lean. Like, I'll do it when I'm lean. By the time I'm lean, I'm way too close to my show, and I'm panicking about it. So practice, and you might make tweaks to your posing. The leaner you get, you might think, oh, this looks slightly better, but they're tweaks. They're not learning like you have to if you just neglect it and wait so long. But and then the second tip for me is, like, Tanya, you might not agree, but practice when you're closer to the show using your phone and not a mirror, because you can easily practice in a mirror and hit the shots that you like. But when you're on that stage, you've got no one in front of you. You've got no mirror in front of you. So practice videoing on your phone and then watch it back, because that's how you're going to see it yourself on that stage. You know, no mirror.
Yeah,
absolutely. That is a good tip. I absolutely agree. And I do think when you start your posing earlier on and you're working with a coach, you can see the improvements that are needed. And, you know, this is something that I've seen throughout the years with clients that start early on. When they're in a particular bikini pose, when they're 20 odd weeks out, you can see the areas that may need to be improved on. Whereas if you wait until you're stage lean, there's no time to make those improvements. So it's very important to start your posing, to see your body in those poses, you can make sure that you are training accordingly to suit that category. So it's very important.
And the further out you are, the more important a coach is, really, because if you start practicing on your own and think, oh, I'll get a coach when I'm closer, you'll pick up 14 weeks of bad habits doing it yourself, especially as a first timer, and then you'll get a coach and have to relearn so much in that short space of time. Whereas get a couple of sessions in 20 weeks out, get the bad habits out the way, and then
absolutely.
Doing what you're doing. Like, I remember before I came to see you for the first time, I was watching this YouTube video and trying to copy it, and I was like in the front room thinking to myself, what on earth is this? I was trying to go like step.
You know, I love people that do their research and try, but absolutely, I must say, even if you come to a coach or, you know, myself, and you do 1 or 2 sessions and you're like 25 weeks out, and then you go away, and then at least you have a little bit of a foundation, and then you can come back to me when you're able to. So, you know, whichever works for you. I always say to clients, you know, they often say to me, how many sessions am I going to need? And I can't give that, because everyone's
there's no specific
different
number, is there? Especially not.
There's also people who get it quickly, and then there's people like me who just don't get it.
You're fine. You're absolutely fine.
Even to this day, sometimes I think, what am I actually doing? But
we all have that moment. We all have that moment.
Yeah, getting there slowly. Okay, so let's chat about costs. So for the first timer, what do you think that it's a must-have?
Must have is the coach. You need a prep coach. 100%. Yeah. So the budget, you have to budget for your prep coach, because you need that guidance. Okay. That's number one. And then you also need to budget for your food, because food is also very important and can be very expensive. Okay? So especially if you're in an off season, you're eating a lot more food, especially with 2 people.
I worked out our cost for meat this year, and I won't say it, but like I was tempted to just eat pot noodles for the rest of my life and enjoy a happy holiday every week.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And you know what, I do think, you know, when people are looking for sponsorships and things, I think if you can get a decent sponsorship that could just cover your meats, you are sorted. So definitely food. Obviously you need that gym membership, you need a decent gym. If you've got equipment at home, then fantastic, but for what you want to try to achieve, you do need a decent gym. And then obviously posing, and then you've got all the different accessories to come into play. When it comes to posing, I would say, again, it's always up to you how many sessions you want to invest, but always start off with that 1 or 2, and then at least you've got that invested, and then you can sort of make your decisions on, you know, how much more you can then take up from there. But so there is sort of levels and priorities as to what you need to put some money into.
And I think as the first time, it's so important to realize that you don't need everything you see on Instagram. Like, for example,
100%
bronzy thing that I literally was like, I am not competing unless I have this bronzy onesie, you know, the one I'm talking about.
Oh, the bronzy onesie. Okay, yes.
Which is like 85 pounds or something like that. And we're like a week, not even a few days out from my show, and I said to Ash, like, I need it. Like, I was like, I'm not gonna, you know, buy it, but I really want it, bro. He ended up buying it for me. But
that's so sweet.
But that's the things that you don't actually need, but because of social media, it's so easy to think that you need all of those things. So I think it's like you said, it's very important that you actually make like a priority list and go, okay, paying for my coach, I'm paying for my coaching coach. You know, what is a must, and then the rest of it, just let it go, because you don't actually need it.
And like costs, it's not embarrassing to say that I can't afford it at the minute, or I'm gonna wait and save up so I can compete. It's more embarrassing, you know, getting to 3 weeks out and having to say to your coach or something like, I've run out of money, I can't do it, you know. So just it is something you have to factor. It's one of them things, and you're better off knowing how much it's going to cost than putting yourself in a hole just to compete.
It is an expensive sport,
and there is a lot of outlay initially. Some people can do it cheaper than others, but just understand there is some cost to it. Simple as that, really, isn't it?
Being smart where you can. Like, for example, with your bikini, there's so many people that they're selling their bikinis they've only worn once before. You can get it professionally cleaned, so you don't need a brand new bikini. It's just making sure that it fits you, like checking the measurements and all of that. As the first time, it's a bit difficult because you don't know what your measurements are going to be like, but you can kind of guess. Same with heels, like you can always try, and you don't need the most expensive pair of heels. You just need a clear pair of heels that matches your federation, and you're good to go. They do say they recommend you have, you know, at least 2 or 3 pairs in case it breaks, all of that. But realistically, you could probably get away with 1 pair. I only had 1 pair when I first competed. So I think it's very important that, you know, we don't get too caught up into this Instagram life where we need to buy 100 million different things.
Yeah.
You know, you can do it on a lower budget. It's not, obviously, as you progress, then you might want to invest into a more expensive bikini that you're going to end up wearing more often. Same with your heels. Like, obviously, I know you go through a lot of pair of heels because you're posing.
Heels just drop off, like literally the actual heels. But so I completely agree with you, and I often have these conversations with my clients when they tell me that they're doing 3 shows in a year and they want 3 separate bikinis, and I'm like, honey, you don't need that. Just wear the 1 bikini, especially if you're doing the same federation. You know, often enough, I've heard this a couple of years ago. Basically, when you wear a bikini for a season in the same federation, it is advisable that you continue to wear that exact same bikini, because often judges, if they're judging you again, they kind of remember you for that look. So if you're wearing a red bikini, they're gonna be like, oh, Nikki in the red bikini again. So there's no need to change your bikini every show that you do in a year. 1 bikini, 1 season is perfectly fine.
100%. I agree with that. So you know, when it comes to spending money with first timers, is just do the basics and don't worry about all of the fluff that you see on Instagram, because if you don't need it, you just don't. So post-show, probably one of the hardest things. Like, prep easy. It's a walk in the park compared to post-show. What is your experience with athletes? I guess not your experience, but what kind of stories do you hear from athletes about their post-show?
Mainly feeling lost, especially as a first timer. You know, you've had this really strict diet regime for a period of time, and then all of a sudden, you know, show, it's gone and you just don't know what to do with yourself. It's almost like some athletes, and I've experienced this myself, you forget why you go to the gym. And for me, before I started competing, I was training consistently for like 2 years before I even knew what competing was. But after, I remember having those breaks and then not understanding why I'm going to the gym, because there's no actual goal. So I feel like for a first timer, you need to understand that your journey within the gym, training and eating healthily, needs to continue and go on. You need to have that reverse diet. A lot of people struggle with overeating. I've done it. I remember in my first show, because everything was so restricted, I remember piling up loads of sweets and chocolates for post-show and literally just stuffing my face and just ballooning up, because that's obviously how our body's going to react. And we hear this all the time, don't we? So it's about putting things into place post-show, whether it's a holiday or I don't know what it is, but I do feel like for most people, they need a new target outside of competing, just to help them mentally more than anything post-show.
But it's, you know, I remember not last year, the year before that, when you competed, you had a few weeks of absolute madness.
It's such a human thing to do. I think, do you know what? If it does happen, you know, don't let it get you down. Just move on. You know, it's such a human, natural thing to do after restricting yourself, and all of a sudden you have this freedom. For a lot of us, we are going to have that moment throughout the years of competing. And then you learn, do you know what? The food is going to be there, and you can start scheduling good meals. And that as an athlete, if you want to go pro, for example, this does become your lifestyle. So you can't have those moments where every time you step off from stage, you're just shoveling in all the food you can get. So hopefully that happens maybe once, and then you start to understand you don't need to do that post-show, and you can still have some treats here and there whilst you're in off season. I also do think that's quite important, that you have the balance off season.
I think, you know, your off season should not be as strict as your prep. Like, I know a lot of people think that if you're a true bodybuilder, then you should be on plan 24/7, but you don't have to be on plan 24/7. You can still live your life. And
if that's what you absolutely enjoy, truly enjoy, then fine. I'm going to say the majority it's not. But
it's not, yeah. You can have a meal out and it's not going to kill your progress. But obviously prep is a different story. So that's what I think my biggest tip is: make sure you still have a coach post-show. Stick to plan, because that reverse diet is so important. Just make sure you slowly increase your calories and you don't go from, I don't know, female, I think my lowest probably it's gone down to like 1,400, I want to say. So obviously I don't want to then go from 1,400 to 2,500 like in a day, because my body's so like, what are you doing to me?
I dropped to 900.
So it's very important that you do that reverse diet. So yeah, these were the topics that we wanted to discuss today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
How can we find you, Tanya, on your social, etc., if anyone wants to get in touch for posing?
Yeah, so it's Posedbyhoney on Instagram. You can DM me there. I'm often on there, so I pick up the messages very quickly. And then my personal account is Miss_Honey and Milk as well.
Perfect.
And I know you do some amazing group posing seminars. So maybe for people
if you're too nervous,
are thinking about competing, but they're not sure if they should compete, maybe this could be a good place for them to start. When do you know when is your next posing group, or you're going to be posting more on your social media?
Soon. I will be posting soon. So we're in June now. So if not next month, then definitely August. So they're around the corner. And yes, I do advise them. They're great for the first time.
Yeah. 100%. Thank you so much for your time. And
okay, thank you both. Take care. Bye.